and welcome to another spooky episode of Codo Cinema, the podcast show where I talk about movies. I bid you welcome as your host, the man, the myth, the legend, the horror, Mark Kodo, aka Kodoban. Well, we are in for another episode of Codo Cinema Horror Month, which is pretty good for the month of October. Might as well talk about another film. Well, how about Hocus Pocus 2? Yep, many of you probably already realized that Disney has made a Hocus Pocus sequel set about almost 30 years after the original. Now, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I wasn't really expecting Hocus Pocus 2 because, the original Hocus Pocus, I thought it was good enough. To be fair, the original Hocus Pocus wasn't wasn't a well received film nor a box office juggernaut. But over time, the film garnered a huge reputation in pop culture as a go-to Halloween film when it was aired on Disney Channel in Freeform, or formerly known as ABC Family. Well, for those of you who don't know, Hocus Pocus, the original Hocus Pocus, which was released in 1993, the same year The Nightmare Before Christmas came out, was a theatrical film. I saw the original Hocus Pocus on TV, and to be fair, it almost looked like I was watching a Disney Channel original movie, but it wasn't really. When I saw the Walt Disney Pictures logo and castle, it was actually a theatrical film. So that was actually a big surprise because it kind of looks like you're watching an actual Disney Channel original movie. Nevertheless, it's a theatrical film. Now, as I mentioned, the original Hocus Pocus wasn't a well received film, but it actually got better over time in pop culture, and now it's considered to be a go-to Halloween film, particularly because of the Sanderson sisters, who basically is Winifred, Mary, and Sarah. Winifred being played by Bette Midler, Mary being played by Kathy Najimy, and Sarah being played by Sarah Jessica Parker. And I will say this, like these three witches are basically some of the most memorable characters in the original Hocus Pocus film, and the actresses who portrays them are having a fun time on that film. The original being directed by Kenny Ortega, who is a well-known choreographer who actually went on to direct other Disney films, including Newsies and the High School Musical films. Now, the new one that just came out, basically almost 30 years after the original, Hocus Pocus 2, was directed by Ann Fletcher, and it has Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Najimy as the original Sanderson sisters. Now in that film, we don't even get to see the other original characters, such as Max Dennison, his sister Danny, including Max's so-called girlfriend Allison. We don't even see those three in the sequel. Despite the three being the main heroes taking down the witches. Now going into the sequel, as I mentioned, I never really expected a sequel because I thought the original was good enough. But when I saw it again, but this time on Disney Plus, because I was actually at a movie night when I was at Eastern Illinois University, there was one final scene where the two bullies that Max bumped into, there was a shot where the camera goes towards the book that the Sanderson sisters have, and somehow the eye of the book it opens up wide. So technically, it almost teases that the Sanderson sisters can come back at any time. But also the fact that, hey, Sanderson sisters are gone, that means, hey, the book can still be used. Now, I thought there was only one black flame candle, and I thought it was just the book. But somehow in the sequel, there are more black flame candles. Like, how does that even work? I don't really get it. Now the point I'm trying to say for the sequel is, I I had a lot of fun watching the sequel, but to me, I found the film as to be forgettable because what made it forgettable for me is the fact that I remember the first film very well, but the second film does bring in good nostalgia, but it's forgettable because you have also have new characters that I can't even interact, or should I say don't even remember as much. I mean, we the new instead of Max, Danny, and Allison, we get we get Becca, Izzy, and Cassie. Now those three, now they're girls. Those three, they're high school girls, and and Becca and Izzy are basically best friends. Although Cassie was a former friend of of Becca at one point. Although it doesn't really explain for what reason, doesn't explain much for what reason why Cassie doesn't stops talking to Becca that often. But anyway, somehow Becca and Izzy, Becca and Izzy, they're I wouldn't say they're as memorable characters. The same goes with Cassie. I mean, they're not as memorable as Danny, Max, or Allison. I mean, I remember those characters pretty well. But the problem is, the three original main characters are not even in this film. I mean, besides the Sanderson sisters, who, once again, had a lot of fun with the sequel, and they actually do get couple of musical numbers, although although one of them is actually okay. Well, actually two of them, they're okay, but not as memorable as "I Put a Spell on You." I mean, that's literally one of the most memorable musical numbers I remember from the first film. So so anyway, I'm going to cut to the beginning a little bit, going back to the beginning in of the film. In 1653 of Salem, we get to see a young Winifred Sanderson who is being banished from Salem by Reverend Trask after she defied the authority of the church by refusing to marry John Pritchett. Rather, so that means she is refusing marriage, but falls in love with Billy Butcherson. Now, at one point, I almost flipped off because I was like, wait a minute. I thought she was in love with Billy Butcherson. That isn't that the one thing I remember in the first film that Thackeray Binks mentions that Winifred Sanderson was in love with Billy Butcherson, even though Sarah ends up dating Billy Butcherson, and then Winifred sold his mouth shut. That's what I remembered. I mean, it turns out, well, we get to see a young Billy Butcherson in the flashback, so that's actually pretty clever. But somehow, Winifred, who has sisters, Mary and Sarah, they were going to be taken away from her. The three escape. The three escape into a nearby forest where they actually get acquainted with a mother witch who gives Winifred her magic book for her 16th birthday, but but warns the sisters against casting a spell known as the Magica Maxima, which makes the user all powerful. The Mother Witch also teaches the sisters to kill other children to keep their youthfulness, which is basically sucking the lives out of the kids. Now this basically, yeah, exactly. We get to see a bit of that potion that gives the witches the opportunity to suck out the lives of innocent children. Now the one thing I this is a nitpick right here. Isn't the book? It was mentioned in the first film that Allison told Max that the book was made by the devil himself. So does that mean that the mother witch, had the book first from the devil and then later transitioned to Winifred? I mean, it was never really explained. I mean, I feel like it almost retcons the idea that in the first film, like Allison mentions that the book was made from the devil himself. So, but it was given to Winifred. But it was supposed to be given to Winifred by the devil himself, not the mother witch. Unless I'm just basically, well, unless I'm missing out on something. If I might be missing, something. If I'm missing something for that, that if I'm missing something for that the book being made by the devil himself was given to Winifred. If I'm missing something out of that, put it in the comment section below. But that's just my little nitpick right there. But on top of that, I mean, on top of that, we get to hear a brief moment of the theme song, "Come Little Children, I Take Away," which is basically Sarah's theme song, but now is being sung by the Mother Witch. Fun fact: Sarah's theme, or Come Little Children," it was composed and written by James Horner, who was originally going to score the first Hocus Pocus film, but dropped out due to other commitments. But it was brought back on board to write the song for Hocus Pocus. Now we get to hear a glimpse of that. We get to hear a glimpse of that in the opening film. So it was a nice little callback too. But as of now, we transition to 2002, almost 30 years at the original. We get to see Becca Izzy, and I'm sorry to say this. Some of the modern day song choices, I'm not a huge fan. I'm not really a huge fan because because to me, I'm more drawn into what the original Hocus Pocus had. Like, it had a nice little instrumental background from John Debney. But when we transition to Salem in 2022, we get to hear rap music, and it got me cringed. And look, I don't have a problem with rap music. It's just the fact, if you want to use, I mean, you can use rap music, well, if you could do it right, if you only do it right. But at the same time, it didn't really match the whole tone of that transition. I'm sorry, it just didn't. It really didn't go well with me. But anyway, it's Becca's 16th birthday. And her and Izzy, we're gonna do like a nice little some sort of coven or witch spell on Becca's birthday. And by the way, those two girls actually bought a candle from the original Sanderson sisters museum, which is now being run by Gilbert. Yeah, there's a dude named Gilbert who's now who's basically running the store, the old Salem which is actually now called Salem Magic Shop. And fun fact, Gilbert was the one who witnessed the sisters' initial defeat in 1993, and he subsequently sought out to help out in their eventual return. Somehow, we get to find out that Gilbert saw the Sanderson sisters defeat. We get to see. He sees that somehow. And also, fun fact, it was also mentioned as an in-joke that his candy was stolen by bullies, which I'm pretty sure is the two bullies. I believe one of them is Jake and the other one is Ernie, also known as Ice. I'm pretty sure those are the names. Although Ice, yes, but the other one, I'm not really sure. I could be wrong. I mean, I could be completely wrong. I mean, if it is, I'm pretty sure it is Jay. Oh no, Jay. I believe I said Jake, but it's Jay. Jay and Ice. those two guys in the first film were actually pretty memorable, and somehow they get like a passing mention from Gilbert. And also, Gilbert witnesses it, but somehow the way how Gilbert mentions this story, kind of like how in the first film, he mentions how the Sanderson sisters were brought back in 1993, and somehow how they were defeated. And he mentions how the witches came is that a black flame candle will be lit on All Hallows Eve when the moon is round. A virgin will come to light that black flame candle. And somehow in the I always find this next part as cringy because the kid asks Gilbert, "What's a virgin?" I mean, He was I completely forgot that he was in a room talking to children about this whole story and mentions a virgin. Now, in the original film, it was the teacher telling her students, and the students were a lot older, probably in their mid to late teens, and they were high school students. So it felt more to me. It felt a little more appropriate. But telling it to a group of kids, they're not even old enough to know what a virgin is. Somehow Gilbert does this in a cop out, saying like, well, a virgin is basically someone who has never lit a candle before. Yeah, yeah, that's basically how it went. And then Becca and Izzy went into the forest, takes a candle, lights the candle, trying to do a witchcraft spell. But and as the two girls light the candle, the flame itself turns black. You know what that means? Ho 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 ho! That's right. The Sanderson sisters are back, baby. Now I will say this: their entrance is actually pretty creative, and we actually get some pretty nice lightning effects. Like it goes dark, then the lights go on. It's kind of like a nice little effect to show that, hey, the witches are coming back. And of course, they do a pretty nice musical number. I mean, not as memorable, but you kind of get the idea. And yet, the girls were wondering, like, how's this possible? They see Winifred, Mary, and Sarah back from the dead, and they were like, what the? They were like, what the hell? What the hell? I mean, how could this be possible? I mean, for what the two girls remember from the shop, black flame candle, virgin candle. Yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah, exactly. Technically, they're virgins, lighting the black flame candle. I mean, I'm not gonna explain. I mean, to be fair, I'm not gonna explain the whole virgin meaning. I mean, if you want to know what I mean, you want to look that up. You look that up yourself. I'm not gonna focus on that. Despite the fact that the original film mentioned the virgin multiple times. But anyway, this next part is actually almost. It got me cringe, but at the same time, it was actually pretty clever. The girls brought the Sanderson sisters to a local Walgreens, and then tried to escape to the magic shop, where they discovered that Gilbert tricked them into reviving the sisters, having seen them on Halloween back in 1993, and been taught how to make the candle by book. But also the fact, I do find it funny that the Sanderson sisters go inside a Walgreens, and I actually made this. When I actually saw this, I actually said, this is basically a Disney Channel original movie if it had a huge budget. Like, it's almost like if this was a Disney Channel film, and yet they have Walgreens marketed the film. Like, literally, there is an actual Walgreens. You see an actual Walgreens in a live action Disney film. Now, to be fair, it's not the first Walt Disney film to have marketing advertisements. I mean, like Walgreens. I mean, I remember seeing Enchanted, which actually came out in 2007. I mean, there were dozens of advertisements in a few scenes. I'm pretty sure there was a few more as well. One of them showed the TGI Friday, McDonald's, Broadway, Lion King. I mean, there's so many. There's so many. There's like so many. And that film Enchanted came out in 2007. There's probably a few other advertisements in earlier Disney films. Actually, there was a Nike advertisement where Max has a baseball bat from Nike, and then the Nike logo was actually on that baseball bag. That was actually shown at the end of the film. It was actually it was actually a nice little touch. But a Walgreens, man, it's like to me, it's almost like you're watching a Disney Channel film, if it had a huge budget. Actually, it's almost like you're watching an actual Disney Channel film. I guess it's the fact of how the production. It's just the production. Maybe it's just the production design. I don't know. But anyway, the two girls tricked the Sanderson sisters, especially the fact when they're testing out different face creams, prosthetics, and think, and because they think it's gonna make them young. Although I do find it funny that the Sanderson sisters look into one of those like circle mirrors and they thought they look ugly, but which is not true. And as the two girls try to escape, they use salt, like in the first film, but somehow the salt gives the ability for a force field. Like, how does that even work? How does that force field even work? How does that even work? I don't really get it. But anyway, the sisters caught up to the girls caught up to the girls at the shop where Gilbert is there. And the Sanderson sisters trapped the two girls in the basement. And Winifred decides they will cast a Magica Maxima spell to eliminate Trask and take revenge on Salem. The reason why Winifred wants to take revenge on Trask because somehow Trask, the mayor in the sequel Trask has a descendant. There's actually a descendant of Trask. Like really, there's literally, which I'm pretty sure is Jeffrey Trask. Jeffrey Trask, who's basically the mayor of Salem, is actually a descendant to Reverend Trask. And because Reverend Trask was the one who banned Winifred Sanderson from Salem, so that's why the Sanderson sisters want to take revenge on Trask. And funny, and then so yeah, that's what they're trying to do. They want to hunt down Trask, whose blood is needed to complete the spell. And the Sanderson sisters force Gilbert to collect other agreements. Now the girls were able to escape the shop to head over to Trask's house to warn the mayor, while the sisters find their way to the town's Halloween carnival and enchant the citizens to help them find the mayor. Also, we actually get a pretty clever. We actually get a couple of callbacks, like one scene where Winifred was flying on her broom. She sees a couple inside a house watching the original Hocus Pocus. We get to see the scene where Penny Marshall's character plays a Medusa-like character. That got me to laugh a little bit because Gary Marshall and Penny Marshall were in the original Hocus Pocus film, and I thought it was a pretty clever joke. It almost feels like a fourth wall break joke, and I don't know why they put that scene in it, but I don't know. I mean, who the hell cares? But anyway, the Sanderson sisters do go on stage, and somehow they landed into what actually looks to be a Sanderson sisters cosplay, which actually features drag queens dressed up as Sanderson sisters. About almost half the contestants are drag queens, and one of the groups actually wins the Sanderson sister competition. I mean, the original Sanderson sisters are more accurate compared to those cosplayers. Oh my goodness! And somehow there's another musical number where Sanderson sisters sings "One Way or Another." Like, yeah, that's the song. That's the song that gets people's attention. They do the spell. They're trying to hunt down the mayor. So anyway, Gilbert digs up Billy Butcherson, who's being played by Doug Jones. Again, Doug Jones plays Billy Butcherson from the original film, who has been awake but entombed since 1993. Gilbert needs Billy's head for the spell that tricks Billy into helping him collect the other ingredients first. Now the girls reunite with Cassie and manage to trap the sisters, within a salt circle in Cassie's garage before Mayor Trask returns home. Somehow, like I said, I don't understand how this whole force field for the salt works. I mean, I don't even know how it works. So the three teenagers make amends with one another, but their reunion is interrupted when the sisters escape the circle and kidnap Cassie to use her blood instead. Technically, because Cassie is the daughter to the mayor, which I'm pretty sure that's the reason. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention going back to the Walgreens scene. There was also another callback to when to the first film when the Sanderson sisters' brooms were taken away. Like Winifred gets an actual broom, Sarah gets a mop, and then Barry gets a vacuum cleaner. Well, it turns out Winifred gets an actual broom. Sarah gets a Swiffer mop, and Mary gets these weird hoverboard like vacuums. Like, you know, those, like, I forgot what those were. What were those things? Like those, what were those vacuum things? Like those little circle vacuums. Like it's like riding on a hoverboard. It's like riding on a hoverboard of some sort. Like I don't know what those were. What were those? Those are like vacuum cleaner brooms or some sorts. Or like it's like a robot, like a robot vacuum cleaner. Like it's like one of those like robot vacuum cleaners that is automated and that can actually that can sweep up the floor for you. So basically, those actually sucked up the salt, the circle salt. Those two suck up the circle salt, and it manages to follow Barry throughout the entire film. I mean, it actually makes me wonder. The Rhombus. I had to look this up. Rhombus. Those are those two Rhombus. And man, it's like she's riding a hoverboard. Oh, we even get to hear Sarah say amok. At least Winifred Sanderson didn't hit Sarah. So okay, I'm gonna cut to the end. So I'm gonna cut to the end. So the girls agree. Girls already make amends, and and Becca and Izzy team up to stop the Sanderson sisters to do the spell. Somehow Becca manages to convince Book that it does not have the answer to Winifred, and Becca and Book flee further into the forest. Somehow, and this was actually after the fact that the sisters partially cast the spell and increases their power, but Becca distracts them with Izzy while Izzy was rescuing Cassie, and somehow the book goes to Becca. So the book shows them a warning about the Magicus Maxima spell, stating that whoever casts it must give up what they cherish most. The girls agree to warn Winifred of the price of the spell, but they're too late. Winifred becomes all-powerful as Mary and Sarah fade to dust. Winifred grows despondent and begs the teenagers to use their newfound powers to save her sisters. While they cannot save the two, Becca, Cassie, and Izzy join together in a coven and cast a reuniting spell, and Winifred happily fades away to be reunited with her sisters. So somehow Winifred gets a redemption arc in this film, which, okay, I could definitely see, but somehow it almost feels forced. Like, aren't the Sanderson sisters supposed to be a threat? In the original film, they were a threat to begin with. Before they were killed off and sent to hell, they mentioned what's gonna happen. Like saying, "Fools, I'll have you!" On a moon, when the moon comes round on a All Hallows Eve, a virgin will light the black flame candle, bring us back for the dead. Oh, we shall be back, and all the lives of the children shall be mine. Like, that's a literal threat. That was a literal threat before the witches died. Like, that was a literal threat. But now But now they're not even a threat in this film. I mean, they're still the witches are still memorable, but somehow they're not even a threat. They're not even a threat, especially for Winifred Sanderson, who was like the main threat, who really wants to suck all the lives out of the innocent children to make the witches look young. Isn't that the point? But but anyway, somehow Becca gets like becomes a witch too. Like I don't know, I don't even want to explain because I mean, despite a in joke reference to when Winifred Sanderson told Allison, "What a clever little witch," because of the fact that she was using the salt to protect Max and Danny during two scenes. Like, Winifred called Allison a witch, although knowing the fact that Allison knows the story of the Sanderson sisters and the fact that her mom used to run a Sanderson sister museum before it got closed up. So she kind of knows the history, but somehow, as I mentioned, we don't even see Allison in this film, other than maybe a couple callbacks I might have missed. But anyway, Becca, Cassie, and Izzy join together in a coven, cast a reuniting spell, and Winifred happily fades away to be reunited with her sisters. By the way, Mary still says, "Oh, bye-bye," and Sarah says, "Goodbye." And yeah. So anyway, the girls are joined by Gilbert and Billy, and I will say this: Billy and Gilbert actually had a lot of fun in this film. Billy and Gilbert are probably two. Billy and Gilbert are probably the best parts in this film. Aside from the Sanderson sisters, Billy and Gilbert, they actually had a lot of fun at the Halloween Town Square Fair or something. They were having a lot of fun. Billy starts to fade away. How does that make sense? I don't know. Realizing that all of Winifred's spells have been undone, and relieved to finally be headed to his eternal rest, the girls decide to give Book a new home and continue practicing their magic as they walk off into the night in a similar manner as the Sanderson sisters. You know, the walk. I forgot what their walk is, but it's basically the Sanderson sister walk, which is actually pretty memorable too. Well, from the Sanderson sisters, not from the three main girls. And as they leave, a bird identical to the one that Mother Witch had shape-shifted into flies overhead. And that's basically it. That's basically Hocus Pocus 2. Now, I will say this. It has its fun moments, and it's pretty nostalgic. I'll give it that. But the film itself is not as memorable as the original film. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a ton of people who may end up liking the sequel, and I can understand that. But somehow this is basically more of a rehash of what the original film had in mind, despite the film being set in 2002. Now, I would have enjoyed this film a lot more if we actually had the three other main heroes, which is basically Max, Danny, and Allison. I mean, that actually would have been cool. I mean, heck, the original Sanderson sisters, including the three main heroes from the first film, actually appeared in a 25th anniversary show on Freeform. I remember that. So why didn't Disney bring back the three main heroes? I mean, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it was budget issues, or maybe they didn't get the call, or maybe they were all the actors were working on other projects. But anyway, actually, speaking of which, I mean, the original the actor who plays Max is not in any other films prior to Hocus Pocus. I mean, despite the original actor playing Max was who was in Hocus Pocus. Well, he didn't really do many films or TV shows after that prior. Maybe a couple years after the film, but not as much nowadays. So I don't even hear of him that as much. But anyway, in my opinion, I mean, it's a fun flawed film. Not as memorable, and it's not as memorable. I don't really find it as memorable. Pretty sure there's probably some defenders out there saying it's a decent film, and I can understand that. But anyway, overall, I'm gonna stick with the original Hocus Pocus film because I find I had a lot more fun with the original film than the sequel. So anyway, there you have it. I mean, what do you all think? Did you all like Hocus Pocus 2? Was Hocus Pocus 2 okay? Did you not like Hocus Pocus 2? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And thank you all for tuning into Codo Cinema. I'm your host, Mark Codo, aka Codo Man. Remember to watch movies, stay positive, and good night. Until next week.